Lew Knopp, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. We had the chance to get to know each other the other day. You got to come over here a little bit and got to get to know each other. It's an honor to have you here. Just cut to the chase, a little bit about you. You're a former Navy SEAL, you're a husband, you're a father, and most importantly, you're a Christian. You're a man of the Lord. And that's what we're here to talk about today on the Steadfast Men podcast.
Outstanding.
So why don't we just get into it? I want to talk a little bit about how you grew up, different things you've seen in the teams, what you do now. You know, I say to everybody, where you come from, where you're going, what God has done in between. So you grew up in West Virginia. Tell us what that was a little bit like.
Grew up in West Virginia, bounced around a few different neighborhoods in Kanawha County. Started off in Cross Lanes, which was a 2-lane road out there with nothing but a Ben Franklin, a Burger Chef and Jeff, Kmart, and an Exxon station. And my neighbor's my neighbor's dad owned the Exxon station, and we had a racially divided neighborhood. We had one end of the neighborhood, 2 streets away, was a black family that was quite large and extended, and then we had scattered throughout their scarcity of West Virginia, people working at chemical plants from World War II, and handyman type of jobs, a lot of pickup trucks in the neighborhood, a lot of guys who knew how to build stuff and do things, and kind of a rough neighborhood. I was the youngest in that neighborhood, and had some role models I thought were quite fine men at that time. As you find in life, you are always sort of changing this position. One of them is in my life to this day, still Glenn Farley, very influential in my life, and came up through that same right-of-way type of living where there was a fear at the bus stop, or there was a fear all the time of some kind of fight or some kind of ugliness, or what could we get into as a group of kids, snowballing cars on the side of the highway until a high school group of kids chased us down and told us that wasn't good, beat us up. And just the ugliness of people trying to survive, and then also the keeping up with the Joneses, because the neighborhood I lived in, you got a new carport, so did this one, so did that one, so did that one. You got a new F-150 Ford truck, so did this one, so did that one, so did that one. On a much smaller level, on a very blue-collar, middle, sort of lower middle class, on like a 9-structure tier system, like the middle, lower, where...
Your parents were together growing up? Right?
Till about 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, till about 10. And it was like your nuclear family. We, every year, first through sixth to seventh grade, somewhere in there. I was football, baseball, basketball, dad on the side of the fence, mom running the concession stand, and playing a high level of sports, every year, and trying to miss school as much as possible. It was just a thing. You grew up in West Virginia, and if you could get away with somehow diverting that path to school and go fishing or go motorcycle riding or something like that, you did it every chance you could, every time you could. And bulk of my family lived in, 6 or 8 towns in that area, and a couple in different states, Virginia and Ohio, but the bulk of them were right there. And real simple kind of get together on the holidays, the whole families, and go to sportsman clubs and be a part of like the whole day adventure, playing volleyball, playing horseshoes, playing in the pool, toss the egg with the kids, who wins the prizes and that kind of stuff. And then it went from that to just trying to figure my way in life. My parents got my sister and I together in a room and said, "Hey, we want you to know something, that this is our last day together, and we're going to separate." And my sister and I were like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then that starts a turbulent kind of waters in my life for a long time that didn't cease until maybe just the other day. I'm joking. Who knows if they ever will, because then you would be bored in life, maybe. If you weren't continually pummeled into the wall by the ocean, you might just fall asleep at the wheel and die early. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know the other side. I only know this side. So, but my mother moved away, and I was given the selection of who to live with, and I made a selection, and she went one way, I went another way, and then my father just didn't want to pay child support. I learned later, so he put me in an apartment in end of 7th grade by myself.
Jeez.
And I lived 8th and 9th
grade.
grade by myself. I made it. I got rid of baseball because I wanted to hellion and get in the summer. Wanted to chase girls and things like that. When I was a good baseball player, but I just played football and basketball, and then I fought a lot, and I got beat up a lot in those days. I got beat up a lot. I wasn't afraid to get the butt kicking, but I'd show up.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in high school, I had an aunt that bought me the Sears Orbitron weight bench. The 14.8s, the 22.5s, and you load up this bar, and it just started hitting the bar, and I didn't want to be picked on anymore. I was like 13 or 14.
Had enough.
And I fell in love with training, and I used to wear a blue jean jacket and walk around like this. I'm not weak. And someone would go, boo, I'd be like, and I used to be afraid to sleep at night sometimes in some of the places I lived because there was adults and things like that around, doing mischievous things all the time. When you live in a town where there's not a prevalence of money and there's not any big companies that assure jobs to people, there's a grind. And at that time frame, West Virginia was teased. You'd hear West Virginia hillbilly jokes and right into me joining the military. But what happens is I was having really good football seasons, and I always could find the ball. If I was offense or defense, I could find the ball. My name was in the paper regularly, whether I was starting or backing up, depending on any given time where I was in my life. I went to a new school since 7th grade, about every 2 years. After my 9th grade year in South Charleston, the social workers were on my dad. They learned from older kids who had been hanging out at my house, and that I lived by myself. So my dad said, screw you guys, just move me to another school. And so that made my busing and my trips a little bit longer in the morning. And this was a modular school system, so I missed 60, 70 days a year, 10th and 11th grade. 11th grade, I didn't see my dad much, and he came home one night, and he'd been out drinking and had a girl with him, and I had a couple of my buddies in this house, and we were just up to no good. He walked in, he was, drunk, and he was embarrassed what we were doing, and he proceeds to, get physical with me, and I got physical with him, and the next day, all my stuff was in the yard, and the locks to that house were changed.
Jeez.
And at that point, Whitesnake song, "Here I Go Again" on my own.
Wow.
I could cry sometimes when I hear that song. It's funny.
Yeah.
Because there was a neighbor that lived next to my mother in Pittsburgh, and he's another older guy like Glenn Farley, Keith Palin. And he gets in his pickup truck, doesn't even know me, comes down, and we salvaged whatever we could out of the yard and stuff. And I moved to Pittsburgh for the back end of my year.
Okay.
And wasn't really welcome in that house. And so after about a month, I decided that I'd go on my own. And I lived with another lady who treated me like she was my mother, Mrs. O'Farrell. She took me in. She had 7 of her own kids. And I was kind of like the tag-along, eating their food, and even ended up with the car and the gas card and everything else. And I worked there, though. I worked the yard. I did all kinds of stuff to try to earn my keep. But I knew coming in May, if I didn't make it to a football team, we had some people interested on a tape that was made from my 10th, 11th, and I didn't have much of a senior season. I played on a 5A team from a 3A team in West Virginia, and I got up there like the month before training camp started. Didn't have cleats. And this was a real nepotistic school. You had very untalented people playing the starting positions. I can say that very openly, very honestly. Half the team weren't third stringers anywhere else. And they were first string guys, but their dads were sitting on the side of the fence. And
Yeah.
the team was horrible, horribly coached, horribly. I mean, anytime I had a standout practice, I ended up getting in trouble. Like I tackled the quarterback a couple of times really hard, and I get yanked. Hey, you're gonna hurt him! And I'm trying to show them like, hey, I'm the best on this team. I threw the football further than anyone on that team. I would always chase the ball down so that one of the coaches would maybe see how far I could throw it. But I was more in trouble than I was ever sort of given a green light then.
Yeah.
And couple games I got in and had some good plays in, but it was starting to diminish for me. That window was closing. And come May, I knew, hey, I got to make a decision what to do with my life. I can't live with the O'Farrells on my life.
Yeah.
It's not even fair. They have 7 of their own kids.
Oh, wow.
You know, and they weren't asking me to leave. Mrs. O'Farrell, Mr. O'Farrell, they loved me all through my life.
Yeah.
Mr. O'Farrell just died a few months ago, and he used to joke with his whole family. Louis was my wife's favorite son. He'll say every year.
Yeah.
God bless both of them.
Yeah.
Fine people. And so in May, I knew I was going to graduate.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do? Can't hang out in this place. I'm not even welcome here.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything going here. So I joined the military. I went up to this Navy recruiter. I said, hey, sign me up. I want to be an F-14 pilot. And he said, son, why do you want to be that? And I said, I want to be the best. And he took this Navy book called All Hands, and he put it in front of me. And I was like, sign me up. He said, oh, son, there's a 85% dropout rate here. Sign me up. And he's like, can you swim in the ocean? And I said, I'm the kid that goes to the beach every year with one group in the high school, and then I jump to every other one, and I come home at the end of the summer. I can swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
No, son, can you swim in the ocean? Sign me up. And so that started a path to becoming a Navy SEAL. I ended up joining under the Die Fair program, which if you made it through BUD/S, you became an E4.
Okay.
And if you didn't, you got to out process and get out of the Navy. You didn't have to go be a regular Navy guy.
Okay.
Which I had no aspiration to be anything normal.
So for that, because I don't believe it's still that way. I believe you have to enlist first, and then you have to try for the SEALs. Am I right? Or no?
I don't know, but at that time, they were wanting to
Straight SEAL.
incentivize people to try out for Special Forces.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And so the incentivization was if you made it through this 85% dropout rate training, you made 4 ranks.
Okay.
Okay, and so I made a second rank in boot camp. So I was like a seaman recruit. And then I made it to petty officer, making it through BUD/S. But that was no easy task. I was the youngest guy in the class and somewhat socially ignorant to certain things people learn from mom and dad after about 11 or 12. Like, hey, go put oil and mix it and put it in the gas tank. What? Hey, if you use the chainsaw, you have to have something parts per million of oil and gas. Huh?
Yeah, like basically.
And it really was a dummy, many spots in the road in that BUD/S class. And I was exploited a few times and put in front of the class and tried to make me quit. And hammered all night long the class one time after we had been in the ocean for the night before.
Yeah.
Like 4 people quit, 1 person hyped out, and the whole class is blaming me because they caught me taking a shower. The guy that was hanging on the bridge in Fallujah was one of my instructors, Scott Helveston. 2003, he went through that horrific ordeal when he was at Blackwater, and he was an instructor. And he walked in, and they said, hey, this was after one of the Hell Week nights. I had blood on my hips from the sand chuff. My nipples on my chest were gone from the chafing. 2 of my toes on one side were numb, 1 on the other. And they said, hey, you got 3 minutes to go to your locker, change your clothes, come back to the classroom.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to get this sand off me. I'll just stay wet. I can handle it. So I thought I was doing like the more miserable route.
Yeah.
And he shows up and, Knopp was to take a hot shower while everyone else is doing what's asked of them. So I get everyone back in the classroom, and they say, Seaman recruit Knopp, stand up. Come up here. And I'm standing in front of the class. This is during Hell Week. And he said, this was going to be an easy evolution because a seaman recruit Knopp back to the ocean.
Oh, man.
And all these guys ran up to me like, oh, why don't you quit? Fuck you.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then we get locked arms in the surf and they say, seaman recruit Knopp, stand up. I stand up. You're no longer a part of this class. And they took me down to the side and made me strip down into my underwear and lay in the water like this so when it washed up and down.
Jeez.
And then another person hyped out in the class. I wasn't about to let them have the satisfaction of letting me quit. I looked at these dudes like, man, if I just hit you in your face, you'll never forgive me. I had to restrain myself at that point because I wasn't a guy that you pushed around or things like that. I'd been in bar fights in West Virginia with grown men at 15 and 16 and 17 years old. So these bunch of punk-ass kids, there's nobody here I can't pogo stick on their head. Probably a lot of great fighters, but I was an ungodly strong guy. And so I would just grab people by their chest. Oh, this does a lot for you when you're bouncing on your head, doesn't it? and so I used to always think like that. And 96 people started, 14 originals finished, and some of those people are some of the most golden souls still in my life to this day. You go through something like that, and you're new experience, new world. And that was my first, those guys, some of those guys went into trajectory to my first team and my first platoon. They're still some of the tightest guys around me to this day. One of them became a vice admiral. Several of them are different businessmen, successful in different places, and several of them are just door-kicking guys that I've had fun with, and we've seen chapters of life together that I can call on any instance, whether I was in a team or what I do now. Hey, I got a caper. Here's what the pay is. Want to jump in? And I have a great Rolodex of this sort of capability for providing solutions to people that need last-minute stuff or need honorable people or proven quantities to come at a point of spot where I don't know what to do. Well, there's this big company, and then there's this guy who was in the teams that knew he did a couple of deployments and got a bunch of great merry men around him that have 3 decades of helping people at this point in my life. And it's not me. It's this flag that we all carry together, which is a vision of equanimity. We work together, we contribute together, we sweat, we bleed, we take the heavies together. Hasn't been always the easiest vision to export, but I just jumped around in time frame. So when I was in Buds, coming out of there, they were like, hey, we're going to send you to this specialized team. You're going to stay in Coronado for 3 months and go through this extra training to learn how to drive secret submarines. Oh, boy, shit. I wanted to go to a gun-toting team. Now I'm going to be stuck in the water for 3 years. But this is a landmark team. It works as much as any team nowadays. It was sort of the nubile years where they were developing the platforms for coming off of submarines. They transitioned to coming off the Los Angeles class in my first or second year in the teams. And I was on Silversides, USS Silverside, Mendel Rivers, John Marshall multiple times, 2 or 3 deployments on the John Marshall where they would take these dry deck shelters and put them on. And one side had your mass swimmer lockout capability, you're over the beach, and one side had your mini submarine. And we had 2 of them, the 8-boat and the 9-boat, and both fascinating pieces of equipment. I've got 6 weeks of my life underwater diving these things as a pilot navigator. Mixed gas and those type of things, and for the bubbles and the secrecy of coming into ports. And we owned that space. I was the first dry deck shelter platoon to deploy to war. It was Task Unit Alpha, made up of 2 platoons, outfitted just like I just told you. And as that DDS platoon, you were either a pilot navigator or you were a part of the launch and recovery or a part of the over the beach mission. And that's why they had 30 plus of us on one platform deploying to the first Gulf War. It was an arsenal. It was a crazy good arsenal. And working out kinks of that program at that time. Right now it's phenomenal program, and it's working off the coast of Southeast Asia.
Okay.
You know, in all those countries you see in the news.
Yeah.
They were there years before.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really a great mission set that they have in that community. And
You didn't stay there very long then.
I was
That unit.
That team. I was 3 years, and then I
Okay.
went to SEAL Team 4, which was during the Panama invasion, and I did multiple deployments in both teams, and all together with the teams and government contracting, I did 10 years.
Okay.
Okay, that was from 18 to 28, and I left the teams in 1996, and I was just sort of fed up with. They had a non-wartime posture.
Okay.
They had a Democratic president, Win Clinton, who each time I heard when they take office, they eviscerate special forces. So budgets were being cut. Guys were changing their attitudes. There was a real cutthroat over some brown nosing, all kinds of nasty stuff I don't want nothing to do with.
Right.
So if it's politics for me and we can't talk it out, let's go outside and fight it out. I'm that guy to this day. Let's get all the little weaker dudes around the room that are mouthpieces. Shut up. This is where we say shut up or come out here, see what you're made of. Okay. This is the kind of unit I thought I was in. But during this administration, it changed.
Okay.
And you had these perfect haircutted chiefs walking around in their starched uniforms, writing people up. I've never been more appalled in my life.
Yeah.
And then the same dudes you thought that were like crazy ass warriors, you see some of them conforming.
Trying to suck up.
And then the line between a good operator and someone who's administratively a 4.0 sailor. Let's
Okay.
put it that way. 4.0 sailor. He brushes his teeth, cuts his hair. All that stuff I didn't care about. I told him coming in, send me to war. This is what I'm here for. I'm not here to play that game. I have zero interest. I couldn't have been a Marine. I couldn't have been in the Army. He said, non-conventional. Here's how we train. I was trained by the Vietnam guys. The devils with green faces. Some of the most legendary men that ever walked the halls of the SEAL teams. They did more with less exponentially than nowadays. Now they have more
Yeah.
and they get less from the guys. And they got like, I don't even want to get into that, the way the guys are now. But I'm not saying they're bad dudes either. They're always great men in there, but they don't have the mettle. They don't have the grit. They don't have pieces. They survive. Hey, all the tech goes down. How do we get over there? Speed equals distance over time. Put the poncho over, get the red lens out. Let's work some calcs. You don't have that anymore. Let's celestial navigate. I think that's the Big Dipper, sir. Where's Cassiopeia? What's that? How do you find the North Star without it? Where's the North Star? North, true north. We're trying to find our way out of here. This is kind of what we're fighting right now.
Yeah.
So tech reliant.
You lose the other stuff.
You lose the other stuff. So I had a great run. I wouldn't change. I was a controversial guy. I led workouts in both teams I was in. I did stints at another team. Wasn't in their ranks, but was called over to break up with the Soviet Union. I was worked in intel collection. And was put in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Ukraine. I'm conversational in Russian. Had a big baby face till about 37. Couldn't grow a beard before 40.
Yeah.
Had like 3 hairs on my
That
chest.
common.
Now I got a pelt on my back. I even got it in my ears. Sometimes in my nose now. I couldn't even grow 3 hairs on my chest when I hairy-chested frogman. Look, I got some. Not anymore now. It's funny. But you dive in enough bad waters in the world, you end up with hair on your back. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. So, yeah.
So what'd you do when you left then? After you said about 10 years? That's when you just walked out. I think you told me the other day, right?
I walked out at around the 7-8 year mark.
Oh, okay.
And there was some things going on that was unpalatable to me.
Yeah.
And the way they were handled was unpalatable. And couple other great guys left. Were like they didn't want nothing to do with it that I looked up to. Some of the old school guys were chosen guys. They were untouchable. I wasn't at that spot in my career. I was at a spot where screen and go to damn neck or get out. And I had a year to make that decision. And I had a chief that was doing things that were just unruly and uncalled for. And it made the platoon hut miserable. I complained to former chiefs, former commands, all the way up the chain.
Yeah.
The admin way to do it. I'm like, this piece of shit, I'm not deploying with again. I'm not deploying with this piece of shit again. Here's what he's doing stuff to take my joy away from being in a team. It's like, hey, Knopp, you can't lead PT for the team anymore. We have to PT as a platoon. After a couple years of working with this clown.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm the PRT coordinator. How's that work? I have to lead the workouts. I'm the guy designated for that. An inflection point. Certain course that I had won a shooting course to go to, sniper school. Went up to Fort Pickett. I came in second. Randy Leonard came in first, one of my best friends. He goes to sniper school. I go through the recon surveillance portion in the team, and Chief Warrant Officer Johnston, and I aced that. Got my ghillie suit made. I'm getting reprimanded for leading too hard of workouts. I'm 2 months out from going to Fort Bragg to finish my sniper school. And my chief says, nope, I got to send you to Draeger school in Pittsburgh before we deploy. This piece of shit, it's just to hear his voice used to just ring in my head like I just want to crush his skull. And I begged him. I said, Chief, I was a diving SEAL. I'm from SDV. I don't need Draeger school. I can just take the manual on the deployment like we did on the last one, and I got it covered. Just don't do this to me. You can go when we get back. You know what? That was the tipping point for me. I was like, I don't want to be here no more.
Yeah.
I don't want to
walked
be
out.
I made some issues. I made some waves that they had me in a captain's mess, and they said, they said, you've done a good job here. You're a well-known guy. You're a good product. We're going to take a stripe from you, and you'll be up on the quarterdeck for a few months, and then you'll be back in the platoon, and it'll all be behind you. I said, I'm done here. And he said, oh, you don't want to be a SEAL? I said, I thought I was joining a different group of men. It's apparently not what I thought it was, and I'm not coming back tomorrow. So they pushed pause on the captain's mass.
Okay.
And Captain had me come back into his quarters. This was at SEAL Team 4. Captain Stan Holloway, God rest his soul. He loved me. He said, Lew, you're having a bad day. You're a lifer. This is your line of work. You're going to get back in a platoon. You're going to screen. You're going to go over damn neck, and I won't see you again for 20 years. And I said, I don't want to give this institution 8 more years of my life. That's what it took to screen.
Yeah.
I had already, a year before, had the opportunity.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm a lifer. Like, I was already 7 years somewhere in there. And I was like, I don't know if I want to invest that kind of time into this.
Yeah.
And I had just seen the change in the teams from war fighting to non-war fighting whenever the left is in office. It's just tough in the military. They do all kinds of their policies. It's just like a stain of cancer. It's like, do they serve this country?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be political here either, because I'm apolitical, but this side always messes the military up and puts in policies that aren't war fighting, almost intentionally, make you go, what's their motivation with DEI in a war fighting unit? We should always treat people fair.
Yeah.
The military is the best example of everybody working together. Dumbasses. Like, who are you playing with? Whose intellect are you playing with? Yeah. That's your best example of America coming together on point. Every race is identified here. Native Americans come together for the mission. And it's so just even to mess with that or tinker with it is a machination of deeper thought than you see. Morale. The stability of the U.S. dollar. Why would you attack that? What props up the fiat currency? Fiat, yeah, that's what it is. We don't have to accept that as a people, but that's what's been given to us, fed to us. But that's a topic for another day. Yeah. So in that captain's mess, I told Mr. Holloway, I told Stan, I said, I'm done. I'm not coming back tomorrow. What do you mean? You had the out process. No, I'm not coming back tomorrow. You don't own me. And when I walk out of here, there's a handful of people in that room. I suggest you keep them in the team. One of them was that chief. I said, I'm going to walk outside the door and call him out. Come on out to the parking lot. Come on, here I am. You want to see the rage of 10 men? That your pathetic little, this is how I felt at that time. So I'm pulling up my emotions. I don't feel that way towards him now. I had an opportunity to make things square with him, and I didn't. I was gonna hurt him at a reunion one time, and one of my old chiefs was like, "Hey, I'd be really disappointed with you," and I learned a lesson from him. So now, I don't even think about that man's shadow, and I actually pray for his well-being because looking backwards, he was a miserable human being. He's miserable.
Yeah,
that's not what you do in small units, but so I leave there that day. Here I go again.
On my own.
Come sailing. Here I go again on my own. Then come sail away. Here I am sailing away to another chapter of my life. And I had a bunch of money saved, and I had a new Capital One credit card, and I was going to form a health company that was going to save the world. And I started putting these pieces together, chasing girls at night, because that was my constant then. Bar fighting, looking for certain seals around town that I could now just have fun with. Going out to hot tuna and all these.
Were you in Virginia this time?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't leave. I'm still there.
Oh, okay.
I go to college at Tidewater Community College, then Old Dominion. And I live about a year and a half in that area,
Okay.
which wasn't healthy to be always looking like in a gym for the wrong guy. Oh, you're a SEAL. Hey, tough guy. How you doing? You three want to fight? That's how I was in those
Always
days.
picking a fight, yeah.
Well, I had a chip on my shoulder because I felt like I was one of your better frogman skill set was. Now, you put a bunch of tool bags and ass clowns in charge of a guy like me. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. They know this already. There's a thing that said something like, I learned this later, there's 100 warriors. There's 100 soldiers. Let's not get the verbiage wrong. 100 soldiers go to war. Like 90 of them are bullet sponges, just targets. 7 of them really fight hard and they make a difference. 2 of them, boy, they're like field generals. But then there's that one. There's that one that's everywhere and doing everything. Strive to be that guy. Strive to be that guy. I felt like I was that guy. And I felt like people knew that too. And I knew it too. And I let people know that too. And so I was never the guy sitting in the back of the room that you didn't know was there or in the middle of the room. I was always the hero or the goat. And the goat wasn't something I wore a whole lot back in those days. But when you were naive, when I was younger, I jumped into the teams. They said, he's not so smart, but he's crazy strong. I hated that. Because I had shin splints so bad, 4th phase, that it watered my eyes going up and down steps, and I had to pass a 14-mile run in 110 minutes on soft sand. It's hard pack. It's soft in areas. It's sand.
Yeah.
It's not soft sand. It's hard pack. But you turn around at the 7-mile mark, and I went to this big football player who was shredded. I said, hey, what do I do? He's like, take 4 Motrin at 5:30 in the morning before the run, and take 3 at the turnaround spot. So I followed Jim Mears' plan, and by the time I checked in to the truck, said, hey, Knopp, and they sign off on your time. I made the time. I buckled over, throwing up blood. It burned a hole right in my stomach.
Oh, my gosh.
And they metaflighted me in front of the class to Balboa Hospital and put this pink tube in my butt with the penicillin or whatever it is. And I was 2 days of that.
Wow.
And when they got me back to the class, they had me in front of the class. They said, Knopp is back in the class. Hey, he's not that smart of a guy, but he sure is tough. Get back with your class. And that screwed me up for months. I had a hole in my stomach, and that was the first time. Another time comes on one of those jobs in Russia. But
so whenever you were trying to save the world and all that, how long did that last before you?
Well, in that transition period of college,
Yeah.
I started going to church. And just trying to peek into that. Hey, what's this stuff these people are doing? And I met Dr. Bob Record. Okay. He's now in charge of all the Southern Baptists in North America. And I said to him, he's got one of these faces that are like a little bit like John Wayne. It's kind of carved into a smile, a little Bob Rickard, and good dude.
Yeah.
And he said, Lou, we have a play called Every Tongue Confess going on in First Baptist Church in Norfolk. And this was after I got baptized. Made kind of a deal out of that.
Yeah.
And
is that when you feel like you kind of turned your life around?
No. It was.
Wasn't
I didn't go deep enough.
Yeah.
At that time. It was just a splash. I got a little bit on my forehead, but
kept moving on.
But I went through periods of times in my life where I abstained from women. I always thought it was carnal, but I was probably still drinking and fighting and cussing and everything else. But I always controlled the input of the women in my life, whether I wanted it or not. No woman ever controlled that with me, and I controlled it, and whether that faucet was on or off. And during that period, it was off. And I got baptized, and I was focused on my training. I was crazy strong. I get baptized, and Dr. Reagan said, hey, we need you to play the Roman gladiator in Every Tongue Confess. He's the guy that actually puts the sword into Jesus' side. And so I'm this big dude in this Roman outfit, and the play sells out 5 nights. And once the light's just on me, I had to say, it was words along these lines. It was, I know he was good. He asked for forgiveness after we stabbed him. My life's different now. And then I turn around and I go on this tangent about how, and if you read the story of the guy, he became one of the biggest professors of the Lord. The one who put the spear in his side. His name is like Pelagimus or something like that. And his story goes on from there.
Okay.
But for me at that point, it was so impactful that I was going home in depression. Like I could feel what that meant to be righteous. I could feel it. It was almost like the button was wanting to push right there fully for like one of those guys who goes 180 in one day. It was like the button was right there.
Yeah.
But my mind was still tormented from my childhood.
Couldn't get over
from
some stuff.
Carnal living.
Yeah.
From the kind of being his team guy on the tip of the spear. Every kind of weapon known to man, being able to do all this fun stuff, jump out of planes, hang out with good dudes, chase women globally. Wow, now what am I going to do? It's my pride. Maybe it wasn't a good move, me leaving. No, it was the best move. I flip-flamed a couple of years on that. But after that play, a friend of mine was going through the LAPD Academy. I was in the first Gulf War with Bill Mears. He said, Lou, come out and stay with me in Manhattan Beach. The women are off the hook. This is why I'm going to church. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go visit Bill. And I go out there, and I end up doing a background role in a Baywatch episode. And I ended up getting some steam. Like, hey, who's this guy? Navy SEAL. Look at him. He's shredded, blonde hair, blue eyes. It was like 3 days of work of just being a background person with Pamela Anderson and David Hasselhoff and stuff. And I hung out with Bill, and we used to drink pitchers of Long Island iced tea until we just turned off and then we'd go out and just maraud stuff. And we both were carrying guns, and we'd drink these Long Island iced teas. Like pictures of them, not like just to drink. Pictures of them. We get just like, yeah, let's go. And I ran into like all kinds of different stuff you run into L.A. that first trip. Gayness, purple hair. You didn't see the tattoos and the hooks and stuff in the face as much then, but still you did there, nowhere else. And I came back from L.A. like, what a stench. I don't want to be out there.
Yeah.
They're like, hey. They think you got a career in entertainment here.
In acting, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want it. I turned it down. So another 6 months go by. I go through all my savings. I max out my credit cards. I'm hanging out with the wrong people in the neighborhood. I was a 2-man volleyball player, and at the top level of that was serious partying. Guys did coke. I was not a coke guy. They would let me hang out. I might do one little hit here and there to be a part of the group, but I hated it because I'd be like, whoa, I already have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So I hated that drug. Hated it. But some of the coolest guys I knew in Virginia Beach that had all the money, had all the houses on the water, it's what they did. And all these girls followed them for it. And I like banging the chicks. So I can sometimes, when in Rome, be like Rome, And I probably did that less than 10, 12 times in my life, and faked it many times. But I'm in that crowd, and I just decide, like, man, I don't have nothing. My dad died. I don't have a mother in my life. Don't have anybody really gives a shit about me. Like, why don't I just check out of here? And I went through a process that would make it look like an accident for my family, so I wasn't putting shame on them. And I had a divine revelation in that process that the Lord had something big for me in this lifetime. Didn't say I was going to be anything. Yeah. But what it said was, the Lord's going to use your voice one day. I heard, I'm going to be the next Brad Pitt. Yeah. I'm going to call them and see if they still want me. Yeah. Or I'm going to be the next UFC champion. And in those days, it was more manly than it is now. Kind of like football changed. Your first 17 UFCs, you fought any weight. Anybody you came to fight. It wasn't like, hey, I weigh 162.5. Oh, I just took a fart. I'm 161. Like, what is that? Like, what? You know, so you go pick your opponent coming across the battlefield. There's a randomness to that. That means you have to be prepared. And if you're not prepared, don't step up to fight a guy like me. I used to warn people when I was fighting them, you better be training, because when we cross paths, I always train, I'm going to hurt you. And so I'm not that guy anymore, but there was guys in the teams that ran companies that were competitive that I broadcast, like, hey, make sure you're training so when we run into each other, you won't say I ambushed you. There's one guy I'm thinking of 10 years I said that to. We're a well-known guy on the East Coast in the teams.
So when you were about to end it, you said that you heard a voice say, God's going to use your voice.
Oh, yeah. I was running full steam. My heart rate was like blasting out of my chest. I took some meds. I was going to try
So you're about to do it.
I was trying to explode my heart.
Okay.
And I'm sprinting down the beach full steam, just screaming from my gut, like, my life, where I was at that time. Like the gut, just screaming, like, why? Like, what? You made this creature. Why? Yeah. You know? And I get stopped in midair. And it's a dark day on Chicks Beach. Chicks Beach is where the Chesapeake Bay Bridge is. And I'm stuck. Yeah. And his voice was, get on your knees now. I was like, who's on this beach? Nobody talks to Lew Knopp that way. Get on your knees. Get on my knees for what? Then I went, oh shit, God's talking to me. And every SEAL does his push-ups towards the water. So I was running, it was on this side. So I turned like this to get on my knees and pray. And I remember I wore my watch upside down right here all the time. That's how I wear a watch. And I glanced, it was 3:04 in the afternoon. And I put my head in the sand. A couple nanoseconds later, I'm standing, and there's a shape of energy. It's not like an angel like you think with wings and stuff, but it's an angel. And it dawned on me, it's not God, this is an angel of the Lord. This came to say something to me. Yeah. And they don't talk. It's telepathic. And I saw these waves in my life of stuff that was going to happen that have happened to a T to that time on the road that have happened. Different little things I'd be into, which is speed, real fast. You can only remember flashes of them. Right. And this angel said to me, the Lord's going to use your voice one day. And that's really the main thing I heard. But what I remembered was everything felt lucid. And when this angel left, it's like my body wanted to go with him. It was like this magnet I felt like when first time I died, when I stand, which I now think was the firmament, was pulling me towards the firmament. Like my body was being pulled towards it when there was a darkness trying to pull me the other way.
So you had died before?
When I was 20 years old in the teams, I died once. I was out like 45 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, and and I remember everything I saw to the nanosecond of checking out. From the reel that goes through your head. Sidebar, buddies of mine that do ayahuasca and Ibogaine, and
Yeah.
they go down to Tijuana.
Mm-hmm.
They've had similar
Experiences.
visions. I didn't do that program.
Hmm.
So I've had great joy talking to these guys that
Yeah.
do that down there about their perceptions of the spirit world. Because I saw my body dead. They were working on me.
Yeah.
And there's 10 people I can put on the phone at any time say, Lou,
Saw it.
we grieved him.
Jeez.
Yeah, I spent 2 days in the chamber. They didn't even know if I was going to come through in the chamber because I kept waking up like a little kid, like asking where mommy and daddy was. That was the reel that was in my head when my parents were married, when I was younger. I see that reel about 5, 6 more times in my life. And it always goes back to that spot before my parents were divorced. And we were out at this Winfield Park club, sportsman club. Everything's fun. There's Granny. There's my mama. There's my papa. There's my aunts, my uncles. Everybody's having fun, playing softball, playing games, playing bingo. That reel changed. I've had it again, I don't know, about 7, 8, 9 years ago. That reel has changed from that nubile youth reel. But what that is, they say, the people that do the Ibogaine is, they say that's DDMT. Your brain releases when you're about to die because you subconsciously figure that out before consciously.
Wow.
And it dumps this DDMT, which is this reel of your life, high points. And so on that beach is when I decided to move to California.
Okay.
Because I thought this will be my last day. I called my mother and said bye to her. I hadn't talked to her in years that day. I said, hey, I'm just going to check out. I just want you to know I was a decent guy. And the call didn't go the way I had projected it to go. And so I got off the phone and I was just mad at life. And I just took off running down that. I took these meds and I took off running down that beach. I was hoping my heart would explode. And it would look like, oh, I just overtrained or something like that. I was dehydrated, hadn't eaten anything in a couple of days. I actually had laid a couple of days with a gun in my hand, but I would never do that. I would just laying in this bed right in Chicks Beach with a Smith & Wesson 686 revolver. And I couldn't see myself like ever doing that. So I was like, got to make this look like an accident. My West Virginia family's beautiful. They don't deserve the shame. You know, and then they can forget about me. I don't have to be the apple that fell away from the tree. You know, I can get peace in my life. And so that angel says that to me, and I come up, and all the feeling I had felt from taking the drugs was gone, and I was lucid, like sharp. And I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to tell somebody." And then right in the middle of that run, I went, "I can't tell anybody; they'll think I'm crazy." So I went to Dr. Bob Record.
Okay.
And that's where that story starts.
I see.
And he in his little private chamber, he's like, there's 7,000 people in this church, and I think you're the most complex one. And he said that in the first hour meeting of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't help me. And so I went to L.A., and one of my chiefs has said, stay away from the Scientologists. He warned me about what they're into. And my pawpaw, who was 50 years in a bituminous coal mine, lived 7 hours away from Virginia Beach. I pulled into his house driving to L.A., which was like a 32, 33 hours coast to coast. And I had a 4-hour meeting with him about who our family is, how much they've served the U.S. military, where my lineage is. And I left his house and drove from Stanton, Virginia, all the way to Albuquerque, New Mexico without a break.
Okay.
I pull off the road there, shoot my gun in the air a few times, call my sister. She said, Pawpaw died right after you left his house.
Jeez.
And I had just put one of these Sony cameras up on his thing and pushed the timer. It was all new at that time. You still had to get the film developed. Picture it stands in my house to this day. It was me with him, and there was a light in the background. He went on to see the Lord.
Wow.
Nobody like him in my life. He grew up in a coal mining town where the coal mining company owned everything. And the guys would fight, sort of a right of the way type of thing. He could talk the Bible from his stories to the Bible to your story so eloquently. Nobody's ever been in my life like that, ever. All the stories.
So he's a strong Christian.
Strong Christian. I carry something in my wallet that's it's actually my ledger. That it's about carrying a cross. It's a little wooden cross, and it says, "I carry my cross with me daily." little scripture of that. And he was, I go on, my sister said, hey, the family wants you just to continue pursuing your dream. We'll handle this kind of thing. I only had $3,000 to my name, so I couldn't even make it back and back.
Yeah.
I moved with $3,200 and a Jeep Cherokee full of stuff and a tow behind. And actually, the Jeep Cherokee was towed behind a rental 24-foot truck, if I remember it correctly. And I drove into L.A. with all this connected together, all the craziness of L.A. driving, and went to pursue my entertainment career. And I was training with the Gracies at that time in jiu-jitsu. I trained with them for years and years and years. And that started that chapter of my life where I was learning. I had a couple jobs right out of the gate without having a headshot. And after my first year out there, I'm hanging out with Arnold. I'm hanging out with all these who's who people way too quick. But I had been out there before when I told you I saw Bill Mears, and I went out there with one of our Congressional Honor winners, Mike Thornton, to potentially play him as his Vietnam role. And so I'd already met all these who's who in Beverly Hills from that stint.
Okay.
And I'm hanging out in a world I didn't belong in. $10 beers. I got a couple grand in the bank. I got to find a job quick. I get a couple entertainment jobs, nothing steady, but they make blasts of cash for you at certain periods of time. I kept doing the contracting to the breakup Soviet Union because it would give me 30, 40, 50 grand a pop for 2 months. And I was doing that work. I kept doing that while I was doing this. And then started a construction company because I'm a carpenter plumber in Santa Monica and built that up to a few $1 million in gross receipts while I was a struggling actor. And really like just golden stories in that area of my life. In that era. I was training with Carlson Gracie Sr. He's one of the most legendary fighters ever. His protege was Vitor Belfort. I was a sparring partner of Vitor Belfort for 2 years. And he went on to become the Phenom 207. I don't think he ever made champion. He was always just one fight shy, but he knocked out some people in like 30 seconds. You know who Vitor Belfort is?
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So whenever you moved out there, though, and you're doing this acting and all this stuff, what was your relationship with the Lord like? Was it like, because you're a baby Christian kind of thing?
I read Proverbs.
Yeah, okay.
I would stay in Proverbs. Psalms, it's kind of boring. Proverbs.
Yeah.
Because I wanted life wisdom. And I didn't have anybody out there, like the churches all had.
No real influence.
You had like your LGBTQ represented in the pulpit out there way too early.
Okay.
And to me, it didn't fit. And so I didn't find a place like a church home.
Yeah.
And
were you married you weren't married, right?
No, no. You have to deal with a certain amount of resources coming in and living, and church didn't fit high on my list at 28, 29, 30, 31. About 32, 33 is where I start deciding to get deeper in the Word. Yeah. And then I formed Templar Titan when I was 2002. I was 32. Okay. I actually formed it at 31, and then it was legally by the legal articles of corporation. It's April of 2002. Okay. But I had started transitioning out of the construction 6 months before because that was 9/11. A couple weeks before 9/11, I was running with the Bulls in Pamplona with a couple buddies I grew up with from Pittsburgh. Wow. And we went all over Spain, Madrid, the Basque country, we went all kinds of different places. And 3 weeks we did this man trip. And came back and 9/11 happened. And 2 months later, and when 9/11 happened, I was in a film called Gods and Generals. I had a week of work. I was a horseman that rode across the battlefield to let the Southerners know, like, hey, we're losing the line. And actually it was Northerners. And so I got this little role in that. I fly in Ronald Reagan Airport. The next day is 9/11. I hadn't even unloaded my bags in Westwood, California. Turned the TV on. I just left that airport like earlier that morning. Yeah.
How'd that make you feel seeing that? Did you want to go back?
I went to sign back up to go in. Yeah. And that's when some older guys around me were like, Lou, you already punched your ticket. Form a company that caters to the global war on terror and homeland security. I was like, what'd you say? Yeah. The global war on terror and homeland security. One more time. Okay, I got it. Global war on terror and homeland security. That's what Templar Titan does.
Yeah.
And I was like, all I really know how to do is grab a few Mexicans off the street and remodel your bathroom or build a wing on your home.
Mm-hmm.
But I can do that now. Global war on terror, it's a mouthful. And homeland security. Here we are, stretching up the flag.
Yeah.
Templar Titan has arrived. And then the Lord gave me a gift on this company. I woke up. I don't think this way. I'm a very deductive thinking person. I write on whiteboards. I review thoughts. I believe mastery is in revision. But I woke up in the middle of the night providing timely solutions to complex scenarios. And that became the moniker we wear on our shirts.
Okay.
And then things like that. And so it's been a fun run. This is Jesus' company. It's Jesus' company. It's been hard to export the vision that the Lord gave me, one starting with that angel and building up from there. That angel I thought was Gabriel. I didn't know much about angels back in those days. And I find out later through a very real experience that was Michael. And I had thought for years it was Gabriel. So my wife and I had a couple miscarriages. We named one of our babies that went to heaven without us Gabriel. And I had an aunt that knew that I named that baby Gabriel, and I never told her. She passed away a couple years ago. She was the prayer warrior for 7,000 people in Kanawha County, like 5 different churches. She was the last person their prayers came to before they went back out. Sue Filer was her name. She lived in Nitro, West Virginia. Look up Nitro.
Yeah.
Nitrogen was made there. Smells like poop in the air.
Jeez.
But that's where a piece of my heart is, and the chapters of my life were spent. And so we said we're going to be a faith-based company, and our doors swung open, and we got wildly successful for like 7-8 years. And I was telling people, I serve the Lord, and I was banging chicks, bar fighting, but now I'd show up to a place with 10 SEALs behind me.
Yeah.
And I just was so arrogant. I was like, sir, can you make me a steak and put a couple sunny side eggs up on it? We don't do that here. Goodbye. And I just loved myself. I would go in places. I did my black Amex, my Rolex watches. I would show, my Bally shoes, my Armani suits, double Windsor tie, fat up top. I was that guy.
Yeah.
And I would
living a double
different
life.
suits. No, not living a double life.
Okay.
Not understanding.
Yeah. Okay.
I was ignorant. God knows I was ignorant.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't a conniver. I was a righteous man. Just kind of lost. Still didn't have good senior people in my life. Like a couple team guys, chiefs of mine, stayed forever. They were men's men. They weren't guys who wore suits. And neither one of them I can see even wearing a suit to this day. One's dead, one's still alive. My third chief, he's a dapper guy. He could be in a suit. He could also get as dirty as the next guy. But chiefs 4 and 5 stunk. My first 3 chiefs were the pillars of who I was as a soldier. But then I realized I'm a warrior. Templar Titans made the battlefield multiple times for the U.S. government, uninvited. Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You don't tell me where I can come and go. I have the freedom to move, right? It's an unalienable right that the Lord gave me, and I will exercise it all the time. I don't wear a uniform of anyone outside of the Lord, and I serve my countrymen. That's who I serve. Governments, I can follow the rules in their areas, I guess, so that I'm compliant. But you're not going to take me to their Babylonian court system. I serve the court of the Lord, and that's just and righteous. Yeah. And therefore, I'm called to be just and righteous, and I can be called on that by anyone around the table. If you don't give a man his story, or a woman, you don't live by ethos yourself. You fabricate them in your head, but everyone deserves their story, right? Even, it says in the Bible, even the sparrow even has its story. All life has its story, right? And as you sit on a mountain casting rocks at anybody, we all do it. We're all judgmental. It said, those who pure of heart, let them cast the first stone. Nobody did. And that's the same way in life now. You'll meet people who say, Lew, I'm a pretty good guy. I don't sin. You're calling Jesus a liar then. Read your Bible.
Yeah.
Read your Bible.
All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
Falling short.
Mm-hmm.
Godliness, we should aspire. Yeah. Godliness, more godliness. And brotherly love. And with that perseverance, and with that perseverance, knowledge of the Lord. And with that knowledge of the Lord, there's the 7 of there in 2 Peter chapter 1. I told you to commit to. There's a moral, that's the moral, first one's your moral compass being high, but I didn't say compass, is moral fortitude or something like that. And then supplement that with knowledge of the Lord. Supplement that with perseverance. Supplement that with
character.
I keep getting them mixed up. It flows perfectly together.
So you were describing how you were wearing this suit and walking around, but you're running the company. That just sounds like a different Lew, like wearing the suit and all that. So how
picked up
things
Sony
change?
contract.
Okay.
I was 32 years old.
Yeah.
And all the big ones went after it. Blackwater, Control Risk Group, Halliburton. The first rabbit I pulled out of the hat, they wanted Templar Titan. It's only a year old.
Yeah.
I just got my EIN.
Huh.
And they had the Sony presidents had me in Tijuana, and there's 7 presidents. There was 4 of them there. Oh, Lew, this could be very good for you. Very good for your company. We are number 7 in the world, and top Fortune 500. We are number 7, and you're just starting a business. Well, how about changing these rates? And I said, the rates are what they are. And I said, I need to put good guys on the job. And I drove that Friday afternoon from Tijuana to L.A. That's the worst day to be on the 405 or 5 out there. It's like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I get home, tail between my legs, like, I didn't get this job. Monday morning, they wired it. They said, hey, we'd like that you made that stand.
Okay.
I had about 6 offices in Mexico for them. Painted all of them white, put our logo in the back, threw away all the old computers, got brand new ones, and we were in business. Took all the vehicles. They gave me 6 armored vehicles, started a maintenance plan on them. The company before us had no maintenance plan, it was just trashing them.
Okay.
So we put a system in place that kept the vehicles optimal. Got a throwaway vehicle for countermeasures, putting people in, watching people watch us from beat up cars and things, and set some procedures in place that gave my guys a chance if some bad day happened with an ambush, because I wasn't going to lose any of my guys. So we tested the boundaries of the law in Mexico with lethality and things we had hidden.
And you had all former SEALs working for you, primarily, right?
SEALs, Marines, and every now and then I would train someone who didn't have any experience. And he ends up rising through the ranks in Sony. Dave Johnson. Dave Johnson was he listened to what I asked him to do. He was a 6-time, 4-time California kickboxing champion. Big dude. Yeah. Real naive, like in the face and like a teddy bear. And he got walked on by some SEALs, but when I put him in charge, he shined. We won awards. We ran Tyco, Toyota, Bombardier, Honeywell, all your big companies they called Templar Titan at that era. And then, interesting enough, there's a cartel now known as the Knights Templario. They formed 2 years after we were legally set up. So they're now a cartel on the coast. Yeah, kind of interesting, isn't it? And we overlapped with them at some point. They're just south of the Sonora cartel's grounds in Baja. And we were doing kidnapping capers at that time, like several dozen.
Can you talk about one of those experiences?
It's when an exec gets taken and they wire you money to figure out a way to get them back. So there's understanding the story, understanding the circumstances leading into it, trying to predict a little bit of why they were doing it, and then grabbing the trail and sniffing it down until you have mission success. We've had a lot of success in that space. We used to work with Kroll and the Ackerman Group, and Kroll became like more of an insurance policy. But when they started, we were the only people in the game, and I stayed in the game for a long time. If I have the right circumstances to help someone in need, I will. Yeah. We've broken no laws as a company. Hague Convention is the laws between kids and their parents internationally.
Mm-hmm.
We've broken none of those. Zero. There will be people out there tell you that we did because that they have my name or they have the company in their sites. We broke no laws. I say in front of the Lord, we broke no laws.
Yeah.
So any job that I've been a part of has been righteous. And other men have chimed in, and even church elders I've shared with you one time have chimed in, because I don't want to make these calls based on the mercantile system of the Canaanite Phoenician system we live in. This is just worthy, fruitful work that needs all men who are clothed the same and come from the same tablecloth, cut from the same cloth, make these decisions on righteousness. We look the people up that hire us. We tell them, you're going to pay us to look you up. Oh, this other company's not doing it. Go with them. Here's how we work here. Because if you follow our processes and you're righteous, you're going to have a righteous reward at the end. It's going to go the way the Lord deemed it to go. And time is of the essence here. So how quick you move also will define ultimately your mission success.
Yeah.
That trail starts going away on these kind of things. The trafficking, kidnap, ransom, extortion. And that trail goes away, it's gone. You're not going to pick it up 6 months later. 2 years later, it's gone. So these people, a lot of them are calculated, know what they're doing, have done it enough times. And a lot of them are so sinister, they'll kill anybody that's involved if they question they're going to be a loose member.
Yeah.
So there's nothing enslaving somebody, modern day in slavery. There's nothing more evil or twisted or connived. You're dealing with a person right there who has no boundaries. If they'll do that to another human being, keep them out in a shed and then go live a normal life. Yeah. You're dealing with a very twisted human being there. You know, and
that's what, like, talking with you and getting to know you, I just get it's been nice seeing that you like righteous being served. Or justice being served, you know?
Righteousness.
Yeah. So how does that play in a role, being this steadfast men, you know, how does that play in a role in your walk with the Lord? And
well, it's one of the fruits of the Spirit, so it's also the path to godliness. And if we're tasked with seeking God's face, which we are tasked, says it in the Bible. Yep. Seek my face, it says very clearly. So that route starts with the righteousness before it can even broach godliness. You don't even get to touch that sphere unless you're righteous. Yeah. You don't get, I do 9 things of the commandments right, but I take the Lord's name in vain every day. He knows what I mean. I mean it this way. I'm so sick of hearing that person. Like, I don't mean like, damn God. I mean like, God damn it. What a stupid thing to say. You're taking the Lord's name in vain. Or connecting it to a vanity. It's all vanity, which backs into the lust of the world, the fall of man. Yeah. The fall of man is the lust. So that's in the Torah, it's in the Bible, right? And lust gives birth to me, I believe, 7 deadly sins. You have gluttony, you have for power, for money, for things to be known. You have all these kind of things, and jealousies, covetousness. Oh, what an ugly one. Thank God I never had that one.
Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life, right?
The eyes of flesh, the broward eyes. Is that one word in the Old Testament? Broward.
I'm not sure about that, yeah. I was just going with, whenever you said this, I was thinking of the 3 things, which is the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. And I feel like you can break those 3 down and connect them to all sorts of things. Right. That's all.
So righteousness is your way to godliness. Godliness inside of there will open up a depth of brotherly love that's quite different. Praying for your enemies, praying for the ignorant that don't know the Lord or the joy of Christ, praying that they do find that route. You can't get to godliness without being firm and steadfast in your righteousness. Yeah. And your righteousness breeds light, charity. If you don't love your brother, how can you love the Lord? It's scripture too. Yeah. It says, how can you hate the person you can see when you love the person you can't? It's impossible.
The love of God is not in them.
The love of God's not in them. Yeah. No. I with my kids, I'm always telling them not to use the phrase hate. Because one, your voice is an instrument we're vibratory creatures. You're putting it out in the world. And 2, you don't ever empower anything with that kind of ugliness of
Yeah.
hate.
Yeah.
And it's the antithesis of love. And the whole theme of the Bible is love. Right? The most powerful force.
Faith, hope, and love. Yep.
Faith, hope, and love.
Before we started this interview, you were talking a little bit about how you were captured at one point. Was that when you were in the SEALs? I was just going to ask if you'd like, because I'm thinking of staying with the theme, steadfast, being steadfast in the Lord and your faith.
First time
Would you mind sharing that?
I was a government contractor, and my dad had just passed away, and we were moving through a military checkpoint in a really remote area of Kazakhstan, in a place near Fort Shevchenko and a town called Aktau, Aktau, right on the Caspian Sea. And I didn't take the proper measures to secure a piece of equipment I was carrying on my leg.
Okay.
And we go to leave the country after a tough mission set. We'd been there like a month and a half. And two of the guys are already through. There's a big wall, just one little door through it, and where the Russian troops are checking your stuff. Normally you just checkpoint there. They knew we were there training with their military, doing stuff. We had other objectives that we shared with them. We took pictures of nuclear stuff. We did whatever we were asked to do, we were there to do. And they find this piece of equipment. Next thing you know, I got guns in my face. And next thing you know, I'm being separated from the group. Two are already outside. They don't even see what's going on. One of the guys was my second chief in the teams. He's looking at me like he thought I might grab a gun and spray. He had a wife and several kids. I remember thinking of his wife and kids when he's looking at me like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
He would have died with me right there. I know it. He's still alive to this day. They take me back into a cell, and they put me in a room that had the shit excrements of about 1,000 years in it. And they held me for a couple of days in there. Because the only people that knew the program we were on was in Moscow. The Russians, and this isn't Russia, this is Kazakhstan. The Russians had made this program that we could get in and look at some stuff, help them with the transition of the Soviet Union pulling out of these militaries, the vacuum, filling that vacuum so that the Muslim world didn't come in there and steal weapons and things like that, which is right on their border. Iran, Iraq, right on their border. You know, it's Kazakhstan's border, Caspian Sea connects them all.
Yeah.
And at that time, there were Soviet former generals selling major weapons to the Muslim world for their own pockets because the Soviet Union broke. So you didn't have any policing on this. And their military was huge. It was larger than the United States at one time, the Soviet Union. They had $7 trillion in GDP at one time, Soviet Union. That's more than they have now. By like 6 times or 5 times. But you got to realize that's a misnomer because it gets down into how much work you get out of a person, how much slave labor. You can't see those metrics. So GDP is not indicative of, like China's GDP is like ours, but their workforce is probably a third or 2/3 work more than ours because they're enslaved, have to come up with whatever their job sets are, have to do them for the government or find themselves in a social credit system failing. They can fall right out of the class they're in by just not being in favor with the government. It means you fall from upper class to middle or middle to lower just by saying the wrong thing online or not finishing your job on whatever time they gave you to finish it. Different society. Anyway, so
you were cuffed for what, 3 days?
I was about it was between 3 and 5, and when they got me out of there, the team had already left, and they had to fly me solo, which I still didn't know where I was going. I didn't speak Russian, and I was 6,000 miles on the other side of Almaty, the other side of the country. So when they fly me home, I had to go through D.C., and I had to go through one of the hospitals there. I had somehow that hole I burnt in my stomach years before was burnt through again, and I had like an anxiety for several months. Like I would just be driving like, and they had me on these big purple or blue pills or something like that. I was all jacked up. In terms of that job I was on, it had a high pay scale, but it had a phraseology that said if you're in the unlikely event you're compromised, you're not representing the U.S. government.
Jeez.
And I would often be really tight on money when I'd sign up for these things. So to get that down payment, you're signing that right away to get that first chunk of cheese.
Right.
And I remember thinking, I remember several of my buddies that the stories that their family knew isn't the story of how they died. I thought, I wonder if I'm going to end up like that.
Like that, yeah.
Like no one's going to know where I was at or why I was even in this end of the world. Most people think I'm trying to be an actor in L.A.
Yeah.
Here I am stuck in Kazakhstan, And,
doing crazy stuff.
That was the first time that happened to me, and I had to mentally kind of control my thinking and stuff. I was young. I'm about 10 years younger than most men in terms of maturation. So when I was 18 going through buds, I was probably 8 mentally. And in my 50s now, I'm still probably 10 years behind other 50-year-olds.
But you were saying how you were reciting scripture and relying a lot on the Lord.
Not at that point. At that point,
okay.
I just shit the bed.
Okay.
I freaked out that day.
Okay.
It smelled like shit in that room.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. They wiped their butts with old books. It wasn't even toilet paper. Anywhere we went.
Jeez.
Just rip pages out of books.
Yeah.
Tear your eyes up.
So that was the first time, though.
That was the first time.
I didn't realize you had multiple times.
That was the first time. That time right there was harrowing, uncertain what was going to happen, and we got out of it. And so that's one of the golden memories of my second chief in the teams, Chuck, because he selected me to be on that program, and it was a dev group program in conjunction with a couple proxy companies out of DC.
Just because of time, what I wanted to ask you, what do you think men in this country need to kind of like wrap up one last final thought? I mean, there's a lot that we still didn't get a chance to get to, but what's
men in this country need a spiritual spark that's fueled by everyone they surround themselves with that enables them the courage to speak about their loving Father, to learn about, to thirst in that knowledge, to want it, to desire people around the table that bring that knowledge up and aren't afraid to bring it out and say, Lord, we love you. Thank you for this day that you've given. For this is the day that the Lord has made. What we're going to do today. Matt and I started our day together today on this podcast, which we hope that you bless and that touches a few souls out there. People need to be steadfast in the word, steadfast in their actions, steadfast in their affairs with their wives and their kids and their families, role models, exemplary, bearers of light in a dark world. And not afraid to speak it, and not have some media crony turning you off in the middle of your sentence, or someone interrupting you in the room while they got nothing but garbage to spew out of their mouth. Right. When I'm talking about the love of the Lord, your salvation comes from. Your gift to even be the whole of air that's sitting in front of me is from the Lord. Not, why don't we bask in that? And then set our systems up around that.
Yeah.
Like that love for the Lord and righteousness, so that there's an equanimity, a fairness in all the trades, a fairness in the mercantile system that's not got a cabal behind it that everyone in the world knows it at this point. Why do we print dollars outside of our own government tax? Why is there some cabal in charge of this? Ask those questions and stand against them. It's not the people there. It's not like a personal attack. We don't need your institution. Okay, because the backside of it has its hands in the rest of the world. Central banks and their interest rates. Padding whose pocket? Padding who? Let's stand accountable as righteous men. And will we see that in our lifetime? I think we will. I think, but there's always going to be some good and some bad. There's always going to be some twisted side of this that serves a small select group. That are easily swayable, not steadfast, more sycophant, or more angling and carnal and stuff, and let me have, and let me feel it, let me engage with it, not let me cry, let me lift the babies in Africa off the ground, let me make sure everyone in Africa has 3 square meals to eat in a day. Without focusing here, the world's doomed. You can fix every other country, This old nation here that we've raped, all of Africa, the babies there deserve 3 square meals a day. And sometimes people don't like to hear me say that, but the Lord's just. The world right now isn't balanced.
Yeah.
And until we balance out these areas with the resources that come from their country, feeding their own people before we exploit them, back to the same group of people that run the banking. Back to the same group and the people that pull strings here, and whether it's the royal families tied in or the pimp. Oh, sorry, I mean the Pope. These little organizations that are built on power and assets and greed. Oh yeah, greed. Yeah. How could you be mentioned in such a book like Forbes pre-COVID? The Vatican and the Crown are worth 90 trillion collectively.
Jeez.
And look yourself in the mirror and not call that trappings. And then try to lead the clergy. Try to lead people as you're the biggest hoarder on the planet.
Hypocrisy. The
single most organization of hoarding and landowning and just gluttony. Oh, it's disgusting. What is the Club of Rome? That's a secret pact between the royal family and Rome. Well, they work together for what? Oh, you've seen the English military. They don't put much time into it, and all these people are worried. That's what they want you to feel. They got all that money. They're behind anybody they want to win. Oh, wow, now we're going somewhere with this. And they don't care what culture they're in. And there was one of those Rothschilds quoted as saying that. Just, I control the money. Who cares about what patriotic flag you're under? Yeah. We run the money. We're under all of them. What a sinister human being, huh?
Yeah.
But patriotism does draw lines, same as denominations does. So what's the answer? A global, what do you call a place that we aspire to be that's like heaven? A global, not oasis. What's the word?
I was going to say utopia.
Utopia.
Okay, all right.
A utopian world where I believe that everybody, if someone kills someone, everyone takes the blame for not teaching him how he hurt his own soul. Contemplate that. Some of your societies, they say, that are lost, like Atlantis, Lemuria, Machu Picchu. One common denominator they did have was a depth of thinking to this level of, in society, you get disappointed when someone breaks the rule, and everyone takes the blame, not that person.
Yeah.
Because that person doesn't realize they're hurting their own soul, their own cellular footprint, cellular soul, spirit, and flesh. That trifecta, they're hurting their own footprint by so doing, committing a sin or even worse, iniquity. And this will tear you away from the vine. It'll cut you away from the tree. It will cut your vine away. And so men need to steadfast in the Lord, know their Bible, because if you stand in front of Jesus and he says, I never knew you, the phrase comes from not knowing his word. And how can you be a man pleaser and go to church and let everyone else think you're a good person when inside you're rotten? You only get that change in the mind renewal from reading your Bible.
Amen. Amen.
So I steadfast in the Lord, steadfast in the word, steadfast in your convictions. And you convict I serve the Lord, and be accountable to brothers and sisters who do the same.
Yeah, I love it. How can people get in contact with you, with Templar Titan? You want to plug Templar Titan here before we wrap it up?
TemplarTitan.com, www.templartitan.com, 800-779-0332.
Okay.
We are a world-class solution-providing risk management and security company. We're very dynamic. If we take a job, we'll meet and exceed expectations. We don't take every job. We try to make long-term friends. We try to embrace people's problems and create solutions that taste good, scalable, and you can be proud of and rally behind. And then we try to stay your big brother in life. And that's why we have the 4 tiers, which you can engage us. There's a copper, there's a silver, a gold, and a platinum. And the gold and the platinum have 2 SEALs and a drone coming on a plane to your house the minute you call. And the copper down below gives you more from the company than you actually take, than you put in. We'll give you an assessment. Will be like your go-to. We'll rally. You'll get certain rate discounts. When we get called as an emergency, that's one rate. And most of the time people just pay that rate. But you have one of these tiers set up, you have a system that'll work and come in and envelop whatever your current security posture is. Force multiply it, harden it, work with law enforcement, work with military, depending on who's calling, to mitigate your issue or stand the line with you in whatever you're going through. So on the higher levels, you just get more capability, more tech. All 4 levels mean you get an immediate response. Most people call us outside of those levels over the years, and that costs a certain fee. Over here, you have some setup, some ready, some things in your back pocket. Your contingency planning at least has a chapter in it, vice being a book that hasn't been written yet. And so you can go deeper in that and have a foolproof plan for your entire portfolio or family, depending on the assurances that you want, life assurances. I am assured that in this bad day, this group will come. And that's what we sell. And then we try to prove ourselves every day and the work we do. And we're honored when someone calls us and engages us. And like I said, we try to make them friends.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you for all that you shared with us today. I loved hearing everything about it, and most importantly, I love hearing your heart for just fight for this country, but fighting for good against the evil that's out there. So
thank you, Matt. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
I appreciate your patience. As I told you, I've turned down a couple dozen of these for a couple years.
Yeah.
I appreciate your steadfastness in getting me to sit in this chair and dealing with my quirkiness of having to come here first, feel it out, smell, say if it was cool. But you're definitely a cool guy, and my wife and I, we love you, and since she met you, you're
Likewise.
welcome. Your family's welcome. My home, your kids are welcome.
Thank you.
I'm always a phone call away.
Thank you, Lew. Appreciate it. To all those who've listened to this episode, enjoy it. Please share it anywhere you can. Like, subscribe, and feel free to reach out to Lew at Templar Titan whenever you have a need. Thanks.